안녕하세요, 여러분. This is Imagine Motions reviewing the 5D Plus extension of VBO. Vietnam BIM Objects is known for developing extensions for SketchUp to be used in their office and construction workflow. In order to understand the VBO workflow, let's look into the chart they have provided. The use of tags is from planning, architecture until material. All of these are combined into the building model, which is documented into layout. All the model files are organized so that they are all unified into one team production or building information modeling, which can then be exported into IFC or other BIM software such as Revit. However, today we will just focus on one plugin, even without the others. This is called the 5D Plus. For this example, let's open one of their sample project models. Let's go to this isometric view of a model security booth. Open the plugin and do not fret and do not fear because VBO Plus is here. Number one, you will see plus sign. That creates a scene, just like how you'd create a scene in SketchUp. Number two, if you press Shift, it's going to rotate. Without the shift, it's going to restore the view. These rotational arrows is to update the scene. So basically, you have them all in buttons instead of doing it manually. If you have the Curate section, you can enable and disable it here. Let's go to the fun part. F stands for floor. We only have one floor in this model security booth. We can see that the building information has the height and the roof dimensions. I guess this is for the VBO auto levels, where you can instantly create an elevation tag. However, click on the magic auto create scenes, check everything, and you will have around 17 scenes. All scenes have been complete. Voila! Meron. Modeling scene, if you notice, is colored by tag. If I turn on my tag, formerly known as layers, it's this button. So whatever color is assigned to this materials, it will be the color of that tag visually. Next, I go to the 3D view. That's usually what we're all accustomed to when we're modeling for rendering. Top view is basically the plan view. Front, back, left, right are all our building elevation views. F1 section 1, 2, 3, and 4 are 4 available building sections you could choose from. If you notice, they're all sectioned from left, right, front, and back. Architectural plan is known as F1 Arc to show all the finishes. However, if you would just like to show the finishing without the interior components, go to F1 Finish. This is the finished plan, showing your tiles or wall finishes. F1 Ceiling is your ceiling plan. Now, if you notice in the ceiling plan, the bathroom is on the left side, when it should be on the right side. This is where the shift comes in handy to rotate 1 and 2, automatically updated and saved. F1 DIM stands for Dimension Plan. Oftentimes, our contractors and construction workers would like to see dimensions immediately and not worry about all other visual aspects. This dimension plan in hidden line style is very efficient for showing dimensions, especially when it comes to layout. Floor 1 engineering plan looks like fog has been applied. However, this is a style. It's a grayed out style where you can see the emphasis on the building sections, useful for utilities such as electrical and plumbing. And last but not the least, we have our structural scene. Structural comprises of your building structural components. If we go back to the 3D view, you would see that there are 𝗟𝗔𝗬𝗢𝗍 under styles. This is how the visual styles will look like, already preset into this plugin. C is your colored style or your rendering style. W for white, G for grayed out, B for your AutoCAD looking style. However, you would see that tags are colored according to their tag color. And last but not the least, color by tag style or our modeling default style. Model number 2 is intended to understand tags properly. Click on Select Tool, and all walls will be selected. However, it says 8 walls because even hidden walls are selected. But you can just move the ones that are visible instead of double-clicking inside the group. Same thing goes with doors, windows, furniture, sanitary ware, and even electrical appliances. If I go to the structure elements scene, I could see columns, beams, footing, and piles if I have. Intentionally, I did not put this under beams. If you could see, it's still under the material concrete. If I go inside, it's layered under the material. Whichever material or tag is placed here, and that is the color that it will show. Since it's already under concrete material, I'm going to put this under S, beam. So now when I click on beams, both of them are selected. How does this work? Whichever words you see here should be the same here. For example, beams will select anything that says beam. However, if I make it just B, it's not going to be selected because there's no word beam. So this will detect the word beam among the tags in order to be selected. The same goes with all other tags. As for other tools, I have first to select the wall. You can select walls. Then go to other tools and paint wall. We'll choose a material maybe called wood and override the existing material. I want all wooden layer to be under something else. So let me see. M wood. Okay. And if we click on the material or the paint, it's under the layer M wood. It's for this specific wall. It's not following. For auto name, this time we'll check the outliner. In the outliner, everything has been organized to building element part, level 1, level 2. In this case, I would like to go to building story scene and click on auto name. Auto name will set the name for the elements or groups based on the tag. If I click set, it will say auto names completed. Please check outliner. For example, in level 2, there's a beam. If I click on the outliner beam, it's going to highlight the location. If I click on finishing floor, it's also going to highlight the location. Well, let's say, for example, I added a wall. Just for example, I put a wall here and make it letter L. Very thick wall. I make it into a group. Right now, it's just called group, which is under the second floor. I click Auto Name, it just becomes building element part. If I assign this group into a specific layer, let's say A wall, and click on Auto Name, it's going to be renamed as wall. In manual workflow, you have to double click and rename it wall 2. So from what I see and observe, this only changes group names that have no layers. So for example, I have a box here and I place it under the tag that says a.box. If I click on auto name, it's going to change this group into box, A being the architectural prefix. Now let's try it here. I'll put letter A in all the tags and click on auto name. These all become line, circle, and square, even if that's a rectangle. Second to the last, we have Auto IFC. IFC is used interchangeably between BIM software such as Revit, ArchiCAD, and even Vectorworks. Let's try just one click to set auto classification elements, and now it says the model is ready for export. Now all of the outliner groups you saw earlier are now renamed and regrouped into an IFC style, starting with project or the whole model, site, building, building elements, levels, and groups such as stairs. Inside level 1, you can see everything inside the first floor, from architectural to structural. Same thing with level 2. As for the stair, we have all the layers or tags that are inside as well. So 2D graphic, 3D object. If you go to the top view or the floor plan view, you can just turn off the 3D object. Remember, when groups are not named, they are automatically classified as building elements, so even these vehicles and trees. This is the structural group, and you can see all of them. So VBO has a thing called VBO reports, where they can also extract information for BOQ. Now that we're done with the main building elements, let's dive into these hashtags: materials, general, and information. Materials, as you know, because they are colored by tag, showcases the material inside the drawing. For example, flooring, brick, metal, and so on. In general, however, it's more of the things that are more conceptual, such as 2D graphic, 3D object, and even edges surrounding a surface could have its own tag. For example, dashed lines and dotted lines. Hidden edges can also be placed under the hidden tag. For example, we are in this view. It looks separate, right? Bottom of the stair and this one seem to be separate groups because it's easier for modeling. However, in reality, let's say in construction, this is one whole welded group. Thus, if we put this line under hidden, it looks like a whole group. The difference is, if you just go inside and press hide, you might want it hidden for this scene, but for other scenes you want to show it, then you have to go inside and unhide it again. So hidden gives you more control when it is a tag. So in VBO workflow, all lines, even materials, have their own tags. Exclamation point for information are your annotations. We'll ask for similarities in the Imagine Motions workflow and the VBO. Imagine Motions, or BIMagine Motions as we call it, already comes with templates with preset scenes. For example, all exterior perspectives just keep adding a number. 3D would be like the modeling scene. And then we go on towards the site, like the carport and retaining wall. A for the architectural, and then everything is arranged according to how you would see it in the blueprint, such as site development plan, showing the building footprint, first, second, third, fourth, and the fifth level is the roof, DW for doors and windows, front, right, back, left, section, 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 interior views, and then the Y sections are all four as well. They are structural, or SDP for structural, structural framing, framing, and framing. So it's almost the same, except we didn't use plugins because we would just do like Shift Z to center it into the page. And we would use the native tools of SketchUp, such as these camera locations and scenes. For example, I can just rename this to D1 for door number 1. Or I'll just look at all the doors and windows so I can put them in schedules. This is W2 or window number 2, W4 or window number 4, which is very similar as well to how they tag it in VBO. For example, I go to the second level. It's colored by tag. I can see my material here is actually gravel. All my materials, I just look at my material list. However, if I go color by tag and still want to show the pattern, then I just activate it into ground. Example, this one, S ground or S gravel, whatever I want to call it, and wherever it belongs. And then just make a child object or a child tag called S ground, because I know that the child tag is the pattern that will show when I color it by tag. In the VBO workflow, I put it all under hashtag M or M_ for materials. Similar but different labeling and different methods. The reason why I usually use materials for my materials tray is so I can use these in model. I would just go right click, area by material, and get my area, or generate report about it. In our method, this whole model is not used for BIM or estimation. This is called the blueprint model, because we use native tools as much as possible without relying on pre-installing plugins. However, it would be nice to adopt this concept with the 5D plus VBO. If we were to show our BIM model compared to the blueprint model, this BIMagine Motions model, or BIM, is meant for estimation. So everything you see is grouped according to material or scope of work, the site being detached from the building, the structural separate from the architectural, so on and so forth, which we could actually use the VBO plugin to auto-create the scenes in case we want to produce all the views again. Now we'll try the Auto IFC if it works with this model. Definitely it will work with this model. When I click on the Auto IFC, all my outliner groups have been regrouped in such a way that the context comes first. However, because the tags are slightly different from what the VBO sample had, we have to recheck and triple check that the groups are in their right places. Model number 2 is more of a trial demonstration rather than a tutorial. I'm going to try and guess what happened earlier. I have 2 floors, so I'm going to put floor 1 and 2 and their building heights. I remember that by clicking auto name, all my groups will be renamed. But before that, I have to assign some tags. Thus, by clicking on auto tag, I see that VBO already prepared a template, so I can just click on the tags that I need. I guess I need some walls for architectural, maybe doors, windows, roof, railings, and even some structural tags. By doing so, I can have a list of all the tags that I need so that I could automatically rename my groups. I found out that if I click on a model group and then click on a tag, that model goes into that tag. However, I also found out that by right-clicking a group, you can also assign it to a tag. For example, this slab, right-click and put under slab. Lights, right-click and put under electrical lighting fixture. So on and so forth. So I'd keep repeating the process, trying to experiment. Where does it go? I found out that VBO Workflow automatically sets that group in a specific level as well. You can set the level, you can set the tag, you can set the material, also from the right click. So I'm just experimenting here and trying to click on rename to see what changes and what stays the same, trying to understand how the outliner works. I found out that once I rename a group manually, then it does not change. I can either use the VBO auto tags, auto name, or manually do it myself. As for this, I manually wrote retaining wall, just so that I easily know what it is. And the next thing I'm trying is the Auto IFC. I want to see how the outliner will change once I click on Auto IFC. I saw that the groupings have changed. The property, the site, the context, all came. In this case, I would like to customize some. I did not like everything to just be inside one group. So I tried to separate the lot from the building and the outdoor environment. Now we will try the magic wand. In one click, I try to create all the scenes here by default. However, I saw it's kinda too small, so I tried to hide the site and do it one more time. Just by showing the building, I want to zoom in into the building elevations instead of the whole site. In doing so, I just pressed Shift-Z to zoom to extents and then update each scene as satisfactory. Correction, the one that I hid earlier, I used to call it surroundings, or the environment outside the property. Anyways, here is a list of some standard scenes that you can create with VBO and also our workflow. The next thing I'm gonna try is the model to layout. Now this is not exactly a tutorial because there are some workarounds to be able to use Ruby console in layout. You can search that in the tutorials of VBO himself. But this plugin is called the GC Tag. And I found that whatever component is under a tag, I can filter it out. Copy a code, paste it into layout, and automatically the doors get tagged. Cool, right? Well, let me see if I could do the same concept with windows. I'm still gonna use the same plugin to select all the windows. However, I would like to see the window components if they are labeled properly, such as Window 1, Window 2, Window 3. I found out that the definition has to be W1, W2, W3 in order for it to work. When I tried it with groups, it didn't come out. So I'm converting all the groups here into components and giving them their specific tag. W1, W2, W3. And I'll try it one more time by selecting all the windows, going to GC Tag, and asking it to create the code. So I'd put the filter into the tag layer window, copy the code, paste it into layout. While I couldn't show it exactly in this video, maybe for another time, because this is just to show appreciation of other VBO plugins among so many that you can download. Others are free and others need to be purchased. However, right now I got this GC tag for free. And the one earlier, as you can see, 5D Plus, is still in beta testing. VBO said that they will add more features such as auto leveling, maybe even auto dimensions, and auto grids. So in this case, I'm just going to use my dynamic components for structural because they are already defined as B1, B2, B3. All I have to do is salpak to insert all these components that I made in dynamic motions in your volume 4, and then try the GC tag. Hopefully, it will automatically label my beams. And I see yes. However, it centers to the specific component. So I guess I have to create a lot of clear spans of beams. The next VBO plugin I saw is called Layout AutoText Editor. It works in the same way as well. You need a script and the Ruby code to paste. Well, this generates customized text. As you know, in Lesson 1, Volume 1, there's a thing called AutoText in Layout, where you put this open and closed dinosaur less than greater than, alligator mouths, like parentheses. This creates a code so that whatever you put in the AutoText editor will come out in layout. It's just the same thing as putting it in your customized AutoText. You can find that in your document setup, but this plugin allows you to customize AutoText in the SketchUp model itself. So I wanted to experiment with that again. Instead of experimenting with that for the structural, I tried to do it with the finishing. So F1 for floor finish 1, F2 for floor finish 2, so on and so forth. Well, I was thinking that I would just put this in each project, and then instead of editing them in layout, I would use this plugin in SketchUp Model. And whatever the interior designer, let's say, sends me from his or her finished schedule, I just copy and paste. The same thing I did with the structural analysis. So hopefully in one click, all of these change into the description of the tiles. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. Yes. However, I had to edit this to make it justified, centered, aligned left or right, which is not a big deal. Well, this is a very powerful tool. It speeds up the workflow. Great for legends and schedules, I'm thinking. Last but not the least, VBO has another plugin called VBO Reports. However, I saw that it was for sale. So I'm just going to try this with the SketchUp native tool, Generate Report. I open it into Excel, filter out all the meters, delete them so that I could make formulas with the numbers. There's another plugin called Quantifier Pro that does the same thing with more accurate detail. However, in the VBO workflow, they have a thing called VBO Reports. So maybe one day VBO might give it to us for free. Show support in VBO and Curic websites. And this has been Imagine Motions for now. Thank you.